Hey, today we're with Fort Sask Reno and Tom Beaulieu from Fort Sask Reno, and today he's got something really important to share. Just a few weeks ago, like we had an extremely wet June, and of course, Fort Sask Reno being a renovation contractor, they had to deal with some of this with some of their clients. And Tom put together a really comprehensive slideshow that he's going to go through with us today so that we can learn more about the potential things that happen during a flood, a basement flood, and how to fix it and potentially mitigate it so you don't have this happening in the future. So Tom, I'm just going to let you take it away.
All right, Trevor, thanks for the intro. So like you were saying, we've had record rainfall in the last few months here, breaking a century-old rainfall record. So unfortunately for a lot of homeowners in the area, there's been a lot of issues with water coming in the basement. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that today here, what every homeowner needs to know before the next storm. To get started with, we got the $116,000 basement renovation we've been working on, and the day one, there was tons of overland water issues, and we started pinpointing some issues straight away. One of the first glaring issues was the customer had a rain barrel on the corner of his home, and so often people put them there and they think it's a fantastic idea, capture that bit of rainwater, and water's not cheap. But in a big monsoon, that rain barrel is going to fill up in about 3 minutes. And if you're not out there bailing it, it's going to overflow right at the foot of your foundation. So as soon as we've seen the water issues starting to show their ugly face, we did a walk around the outside of the house and identified that as one of the issues. So quickly we got the customer straightened out there. We put a proper downspout to shoot the water far away from his foundation. And the sump pump was keeping up, but the float was set pretty high, so the water had to raise pretty dang high in that sump pump before it would kick on and expel it out of the home. So we had that adjusted to kick on a little sooner. And knock on wood, the basement's been dry ever since, so I feel like we caught it early. But this customer here wasn't so lucky. You can see what happens when the water isn't rectified before. And we had a double layer of flooring that had to be removed and drywall cut out to let everything breathe before it starts molding.
Wow, that is something else.
Yeah, and these older homes, even nowadays, weeping tile isn't code, but a sump pump is. But on the older homes, often they don't have either. So it can be a real bear. Ask me how I know my own home flooded about 6 years ago. I know all too well what this is like. So this is this first layer of flooring, and there was already another layer of flooring on top of this one here. So you can see there's a ton of moisture in there. If left, this definitely would have molded bad, and you're gonna have some respiratory illness at some point.
Yeah, black mold can be extremely dangerous for people. Causes a lot of problems, a lot of issues, and yeah, I'm glad that you guys caught that.
Yeah, here's one of many. And then by the time you see that much water, the damage is below is already done. So the common practice here, this is my neighbor's house here. She also flooded. Get all the drywall cut up, get lots of fans in here, ventilated as much as possible. And then to fix the problem, she went ahead and she's going to get weeping tile installed for soft cost of $20,000 for sure. Not including the putting the basement back together. That's just for the weeping tile.
Wow.
So a few ways water gets into the basement. It's saturated ground creates hydrostatic pressure. My own old house here was a 1955 home, and it had what they called the clay bowl effect. So the water just has nowhere to go. In the Pine View in Fort Saskatchewan, it's built on sand and never have any issues there. My parents lived there for 20 years, and even with the downspout off for a few years, it never had an issue. So weeping tile sometimes can't keep up, or it's failed. It could have tree roots growing in it, or so on and so forth. Sediment collecting in there, not allowing it to function properly. And let's see here, sump pumps fail, or if they're never installed, like on any older homes. Window wells get filled with debris and overflow, or sometimes they're completely missing. And of course, grading slopes away from the house. That's an important one. A lot of times people have their downspout off, and all the grade is pointed right back to their foundation. So there's not one single thing that'll make your basement flood, but there's a ton of little things that can add up to a big issue. Your sump pump is not flood proof. Power outages happen in the worst storms when you really need it most. So it's always advisable to have a backup 12-volt pump sitting on top of your normal pump. That way, if the power goes out or if that one fails, if the water level surpasses that first pump, it'll kick on the secondary pump there. And of course, they do wear out 7 to 10 years approximate lifetime. And one pump is a single point of failure. Test it out. I know I test mine quite a bit on the older home there I have, making sure it's working properly. And for $20, you can get a little water sensor, Wi-Fi water sensor. It's pretty cheap insurance comparatively.
Yeah.
We were talking about that last week. I installed one, and I think I accidentally bumped a power cord for the sump pump when I was installing the sensor, and then it stopped the float from functioning properly. So the sensor was going off 25 minutes later. So I was happy I had it then.
What are we looking at here?
So this is a bit of another unfortunate situation. We were halfway through a bathroom in a basement, and the customer completely flooded. So here's a peephole into the shower drain, and you can see that there was a ton of water collecting in here. We were sucking it out with a vacuum to try and help her get that water mitigated, but another case of weeping tile required on this project. So that's about 2 homes I know for sure, and about a 400-meter radius of my house that needed it. It's a really big problem this year.
Yeah, huge. A friend of mine, actually, they had their basement had foundation cracks. Last year was a crack on one side that caused water to come in, and they had to fix it. This year was the other side, so they decided, hey, we're just going to fix it all. And then they got an internal trench cut around the interior of the basement to install weeping tile on the inside. So rather than trying to excavate on the outside, so that's what they had to do this year.
Yeah, I did that one on my own house too. It's a lot of work and a lot of money for sure, but it's money well spent because I finished my basement after that, and I never had an issue again. But I would hate to put everything back nice and then have it flood again.
Mm-hmm.
These storms seem to be coming more frequently than ever before. Mold only needs about 1 to 2 days to start progressing. The clock starts the moment the water gets in. The day it happens, if your basement floods today, safety first, clear all the outlets and gas appliances. Of course, you got to document everything for insurance before you move or tear anything out. And call your insurance early and ask what they need documented. Start extraction and drying within 24 hours. You're likely going to have to take care of it yourself. Honestly, insurance companies don't really have your back when you need it the most. They often will say that they're tied up, and when one person floods, there's a lot of people flooding. So sometimes you're going to have to handle that on your own.
Yeah, we went out and helped our in-laws 2 weekends in a row. So the first weekend they had water come in. Wasn't too bad. It was probably just the ground was saturated and the sump couldn't keep up. Actually, the exterior, they have 2 sumps, an internal sump and an external one. And the external one just couldn't keep up, and it flooded on the inside. So we put in a secondary pump in the outside cistern, and that one, because of the rain that came the following weekend, it actually tripped the GFCI on the secondary pump. Neither of them could keep up, and then they had a flood come down and actually fill their window well and get into the house that way. So then we had to immediately get after that, get the pumps running, get things flowing out of there. And then we ripped out all the carpet, started lifting up the flooring, moving furniture, taking stuff into the garage. And it was a whole deal. And the insurance company, when they came, the adjuster showed up and said, hey, you guys did a better job than we would have done because my guys couldn't have got all this stuff done. So ripping out the carpets, pulling them out, taking off the flooring, and getting all that stuff out of there really helped to with the drying time. Another bonus, they had a wood-burning stove in the basement, so they could just fire that up, got some industrial fans going, and were able to mitigate the amount of black mold. They only had black mold underneath the stairs in a crawl space, so that was easy to mitigate, but it didn't take very long, that's for sure.
Yeah, wow. It sounds like a real pain in the butt to handle for sure.
I mean,
But don't worry, insurance will surely compensate you $15 an hour for the time.
no, they won't. All right, what do we got?
So checking under the carpet, water travels far behind where you can see it. This is just an example of some rot going on an exterior wall here.
Mm.
And,
Yeah. What we found,
yeah,
underlayment is a big sponge and it holds water like crazy.
no kidding. Yeah, carpet underlayment drywall really absorbs the water. So as we talked about, you can start as black mold or mold in general can start within 1 to 2 days, and the insulation holds the water as well as the underlayment. Framing rots quietly behind the drywall, flooring warps and swells from below, and drying the surface is not enough. So you really need to open it up to get the proper ventilation there, or it just never will dry.
Mm-hmm.
So this one isn't necessarily overland water, but it is an example of what some exterior rot can look like when unchecked. So we see this all the time. This window isn't very old, so it was likely a fixed price. Contractor got in there. He seen there was some rot, and he just covered it up because this spray foam here, you can see it's just been sprayed on top of rot. I don't know who in their right mind would try and cover up rot, but
And really, while it's open, that's easy to replace. Like that would have been so simple to just put some pressure treated in there to replace that. Especially, it's going underneath the window, and windows can weigh like 1,000 pounds, right? So just shoring that up and ensuring, look, that it doesn't even look like adequate framing just for my eyeballs, but I'm no carpenter, but that could have been replaced at the time of replacing the windows, and it would have solved that problem.
Yeah, I think a lot of contractors get in trouble with their fixed pricing because they don't want to lose their shirt on the job, so they rather just cover it up. But with the cost plus, at least it's full honesty. If the customer ended up repairing this himself, but I always say that we never had a customer decline rot repair because
No.
you're gonna want to maintain your house. What's the point in spending all this money on siding if your window's gonna fall out of your house in a few years?
Yeah, it's structure, right? Okay. Anyways, good thing they have good contractors like Fort Sask Reno to come out there and actually do it right. And
Yeah, that's right.
it's worth the cost. It's better to pay for it to be done right once than pay multiple times for it to be done wrong.
Yeah, the biggest risk you take when you hire the wrong person is not getting what you want, right?
Yeah.
Um,
What are we looking at here?
so here you can see this is actually salt, all this white, and that's from the overland water. The concrete wall is actually porous, and you can see some of the salt starting to pass through here. So I believe this was in one of my neighbor's homes, and yeah, you can just see how much moisture has been in this area. So this is another project again where there's an extensive rot. So you have a roll decking over top of, I think it's the living room, and this has failed, and it ended up rotting out the entire structure below. So
Oh no.
yeah, it's nothing showed up for years, but once it showed its ugly face, it was far gone. This one was just a request. I think he found someone cheaper to do it, so hopefully they found someone good to get this put back together properly. Because I think I was estimating around $20,000 to $30,000 to fix this area up completely with the new decking and everything, and they found someone cheaper to do it. So hopefully it works out well for them. That's just some more rot here. This is a lot of different examples of water just coming through your penetration through all the openings in your home, the doors and windows. So it can be a real bear. And here's another example of this one is for sure overland water.
Big dehumidifier there.
Yeah, luckily for these guys, they got the steel studs, so they won't rot, and they might rust a little bit, but if you catch it in time, they can see they get the dehumidifier running.
Yeah, man, they removed like a few feet of drywall around the whole exterior there.
Yeah, for sure. They probably went 4 feet up, which doesn't make a big difference if you go 2 or 4. But it must have been really bad, right? It must have started waking up severely there.
Yeah. The thing about with water and floods is getting to it fast, getting to it quickly.
That's right. Yeah. So this one, another request, we had piles of requests and we don't offer like a 24-hour emergency service. So it was a little bit sad to see these requests come through on the weekends or late at night. And I know we can't do much to help these people there, but nevertheless, we can help them put it back together. So there's three types of water damage. We got overland water, rain and snow melting from the outside. We have sewer backups, municipal systems pushed back into your home, and then we got groundwater seepage, often not covered at all. Each one is a separate endorsement. Ask your broker. So I didn't know this, but the groundwater and overland water are different policies because the client, one of them flooded and she had overland water protection. But the insurance company said, well, that's if the water is coming over the land and goes in your back door. If it's that high, then like pours in your back door. But when is that going to ever happen? If we had a 130-year rainfall record broken and the water still wasn't coming through the doors.
That happened to my in-laws. It was coming, the ditch in the front had overflowed, and then it poured into the yard, and then it made a lake in the yard, and they have a walkout in the back, and it went down the walkout, and then went into the window well of the bedroom in there, so it had overland there, and then from underland it was also coming, and they didn't have groundwater or overland water coverage, so they got exactly zero help from the insurance company at all.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
So, yeah, they're tempted to throw a turd on there and say, oh, it's sump pump. The sump pump failed, or the sewage line failed, so then it's covered, right? Because they'll cover that. They'll cover a septic backup, but they won't cover groundwater or overland unless you have that rider on your insurance. So, the only thing is, like, hindsight's 2020. You only know that after you have a problem. You're like, oh my goodness, I can't believe. But they don't offer it. They don't say, hey, would you like overland water or groundwater? They just, maybe they just don't mention it, or they don't think to mention it, or they don't want to mention it. But you have to, buyer beware when you're getting your home insurance to get those things secured.
Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna have to double check my policy and see what's all included on there because they don't make it straightforward at all.
No.
So again, this is just more photos of the groundwater coming through the slab on one of my neighbor's homes here. So we went over to try and mitigate as much as possible. This is the water level. So
is that a shower drain?
This is the shower drain. Yeah, the concrete, the water in the underneath this foundation is almost right to the very tip top here.
Wow. Yeah.
So we sucked this out with a shop vacuum and immediately filled right back up. It's pretty wild.
So another one that could probably use a weeping tile system.
Yeah. This one's slated for mid-August install, and then we can finally get back to finish our basement bathroom for this customer. So we got the education gap here. Who's telling homeowners this? Record rainfall this month, basements flooding across the region. The cities feed this golf courses are closed and crosswalk safety. So we were critiquing the city a little bit on their socials because they're not really informing people about their insurance policies to make sure that they do have groundwater and to be checking the downspouts, as well as the grading, the sump pumps, this, that, and the other thing. They kind of missed the ball there a little bit, I'd like to say, and good things, but nothing on protecting your home from water. We're educating people before the storm or after the flood. One mailed storm season checklist could save families thousands, or just having it online would be helpful for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Can't think of how many people have flooded this year, and I'm assuming a lot of them could have been prevented.
Yeah, we'll only know after the fact how many millions of dollars in damage this caused.
That's right. So make sure and test every storm season the sump pump. It only takes a minute. Clean out the window wells. Extend your downspouts 6 to 10 feet from the foundation. Walk your grading. Water should run away, not in. And of course, check your policy for overland and groundwater coverage. Walk the basement after every big storm.
Yeah, that's good advice. We were doing that the whole time, making sure that we heard the sump pump going, and also that there's no water starting to accumulate down there.
Yeah, it's sketchy times for sure. So you can see Levi had pounded out this trough job and we got the downspout. I think I ended up actually making him go back and extend us another 2 feet because I wanted it nice and far from the foundation. But this is a good example of what it should look like. You should always have the flip up down and it should be going away from the home, not towards the window at all. And of course, making sure that they're not clogged, because it doesn't matter what's going on with your downspout if your east trough is completely clogged, which can happen 3 times a year, very easy in a mature neighborhood.
Yeah.
So here's the boys hard at it in the rain, because that's when it matters.
Yes.
We also added a gutter guard on here, so when these leaves fall off in the fall, they won't clog up the downspout. And here's a really good example of some downspouts. This is pretty much the ideal situation, is to have a full 10-foot length and get that water as far away from your foundation as possible. Fix the cause before the damage. Prevention is always cheaper than restoration. And if all else fails, hopefully you're covered under your policy.
All right.
If you guys have questions about your basement, drop them in the comments and we'll answer it. And just a reminder, we got lifetime workmanship guarantee and family owned, Fort Saskatchewan. Like, subscribe, and share with another homeowner who needs this.
All right, that's awesome. Thanks so much for all of that, Tom. And yeah, anybody who is looking for good renovation contractor, of course, right now is the time when everybody should be getting their basements redone because they got damaged during the storms. Call Fort Sask Reno. What's your phone number, guy?
That'd be 780-271-4312, and we'll be happy to give you a free estimate.
All right, that's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Tom. And I guess that's it for this video. We'll see you guys next time.
Okay, awesome. Thanks for joining, Trevor.